Swalelo ya Jesu, the rhyme that echoes beyond borders and realms. A rhythmic expression of the emancipation of mankind from the bondage of sin through forgiveness. And the man behind it is Bosco Situmbeko Mubita, a minister, music composer, choir leader, book author, husband, father, and friend. District Apostle Helper Robert Nsamba describes him as one with a depth in music.
He had a depth. He had depth for music. He understood music from his point of view.
He was a very proficient choir leader. The music was in him and he was in the music. And also, other than just knowing how to put the notes together, the notation together to come out with a hymn, he was a wonderful preacher. And it's out of that preaching that he was bringing these hymns to help us also gain something spiritually.
So, yes, he was such an inside kind of person, of the same kind like Peter Sililo. He's also that. Yeah, humble, but you could see what the Lord wants to use them for music. Like I'm saying, that is from my point of view, from my impression. I don't deal with the other issues other than what I see.
The late District Evangelist Bosco Situmbeko Mubita was a master of poetry, a great philosopher, a great composer, among those that lived in our time. He is a man who mastered the art of music. When District Apostle in retirement, Duncan Barton Mfune, described Bosco, he described him with a Latin maxim, which reads, Q se sat, es milea, se sat, es bonus. Meaning he who ceases to be better, ceases to be good. Bosco strived his way through in life, but never forgot the core values of being a Christian, being good to mankind, being good to himself, and having a positive attribute towards life.
He was a great teacher, first of all, a great musician, a prolific writer. From the first explanation of a teacher, I personally trained under his hand. He had the capacity to break down very complex material and to simplify them even to the lowest person in the group, which was a very, very unique talent and skill. Secondly, he was a great musician, and by that I mean that he had a broad spectrum of knowledge on music. The third aspect is that he was a great writer. He did not only write music, he also wrote on many other things. So the way I would describe him is that he was a very talented, very gifted a person with a wide scope of knowledge on various subjects, either church, music, life. He is a man that you could engage almost on a number of issues and aspects. And from a human point of view, he was a person that was always a joy to be around with. Great sense of humor, and also He was a person that also very down to earth. He could relate to any person, from the low to the high class.
His words of instructions to his children are still fresh and echo in the heart of his third-born child, Kalaluka Situmbeko Mubita.
When it comes to discipline, he was one to use examples. He would literally, since we used to openly talk about most issues, so if we are going to base something on, maybe he refused you, he stopped you from doing something, or maybe my mom told you to not do something, and then you go ahead and do it, he will sit you down. And he would not just sit you down, he will sit you down with your siblings and everyone, so that no other person should do that which you did. He will sit you down and he will explain to you why you should not do that. And he would even explain to us, the commandment of honoring your father and mother. He would explain it to say, you are looking at me right now. My eyes are open. My mouth is speaking. You can hear my voice. You are seeing me today. But the next time, you might not see this mouth moving again. You might not see these eyes open again. So hear me now. And even just yourself, you just know that, okay, let's do the right thing. In as much as we are doing it for ourselves and we are doing it for everyone around us who loves us. And because it is the right thing to do.
He was born in Nalolwa village of Senanga district on 11th January 1963. The 6th of the 8 children of Mr. Anderson Mubita Nayoya and Mrs. Inutu Mushaokwa Mubita. He started his primary education at Mukoko Primary School in Mongu and shortly moved to Mapungu Primary in Kalabo.
Kwa mana ni bupiro wabona kone kula la sikolo bo Bosco Situmbeko Mubita bakeni Mukoko Primary School habazwile fateni sebaya transfer kwa Mufulira ko baizo kena faskolo sesibizwa Kankoyo ni faskolo sesibizwa Chankwa Primary School inze ili kwa Mufulira asebazwa fa Chankwa sebaya fa Kantanshi Secondary School habazwile fa Kantanshi Secondary School sebanga transfer kutaha kwa Kabwe ko batilo kena yose ili secondary school batilo kena first school sesibizwa Bwacha Secondary School ili kasili mwasa 1981 kuyofita mwa 1983 kona sili mwasa bafelize school miba kena musebezi bafumana kolo ya kena musebezi mwaza mpost ka 1984 abazule mwaza mpost bakena mwa Zambia Railways inze ili kwa kafiwe kone baberekera muhara kafiwe ni kabwe ne bazfita cholo mwa 1985 nge banzi mwa Zambia Railways abazwile mwa Zambia Railways bakeni fa Evelyn Horn College kuyonga course ya Buruti inze ili music ni English 1986 to 1988 abafelize fale babalumelize fa Kanyonyo Basic School mwa 1989 kuyafana mwa 1993 inze ilibo teacher of music habazwile 4 batile fa kwa Mongu College of Education 1994 to 1997 then fone babizwa bo music lecturer chwale habazwile fa Mongu College baile fa Evelyn Horn 1998 kuyofita mwa 2005 inze eli bo senior music lecturer. 2000 kuyamwa 2003 ne baile kwa skolo ko baizonga degree yabona inze eli kwa Tshwane University kwa Pretoria, South Africa. 2005 to 2020 ne baizoipumana kwa Examination Council of Zambia ko nelibona bo senior examination specialist. Chwale kabukuswani kona bupiro babona kono mwa 2019 ne bakonile kuyoa kwa skolo hape kuyonga masters yabona kwa skolo kwa kwa Commonwealth Open University kona kone bainzi ko chwale bainzi chwalo kufita habatolusia mwa 2020.
The young Bosco married the love of his life, Sandra Kambai Mulonda, in 1991. Their union was blessed with 6 children, 4 daughters and 2 sons. His third-born daughter, Kalaruka, describes him as a friend.
To me, to our family, he wasn't just a father or just a husband to my mother. He was everything. He was literally the whole world to us. You know, where you know, even when something isn't going right with you or you have something going on, you won't worry about this too much because you know that, okay, it will be sorted once I just tell him what's going on. It will be sorted. Oh, there's this going on, and you know that you have where to go, you have where to run to. He was more of our protector, our shield, our safe place. He was our safe place. We looked up to him for everything, really. And you know, just knowing him, being his daughter, I think that's the greatest blessing that God has granted me in this life.
Shepherd Gideon Muyunda, now in retirement, had a close encounter with Bosco in his early music career.
First met him in 1978 when I had gone for a visit in Kabwe. One of the Saturday mornings, I chose to have a walk on the streets of Kabwe. And I ended up finding myself in a street near our railways congregation. At a distance, I could see a young man. He was looking at me, and I took interest. When he realized I was closely looking at him, he drew near to know a bit about me. Then, instead of greeting me, all he says is, "You are new apostolic." And I said, "You are new apostolic too." Then he said, "Come with me." And off we went. We found ourselves in the house of the late District Elder Moses Mlenga, where we had some snacks. Then he wanted to know 1 or 2 things about me. The first question was, "Where do you come from?" I told him I was from Livingstone. Then he wanted to know what I was doing there. I told him I was training as a teacher at Livingstone Teachers Training College. Then I equally wanted to know what he was doing in Kabwe. And then he told me a few things about himself. He says, I was working as a shunter in Zambia Railways, but I left employment. I wanted to know as to why he had to leave employment. There came out a very interesting story. He was singing while he was on duty. And when this was so, all around him was forgotten to an extent where an oncoming truck almost crushed him, squeezing him onto that one he was holding, because he was not concentrating on what he was doing, but rather he was concentrating on singing. Then he says, from that day on, I had to leave employment, fearing that things might repeat themselves and they might end up dying. Then I told him, say, the right place for you is a college of music. An obedient man, a faithful man, did exactly that. 10 years later, I find myself wanting to take a course in music at Evelyn College, and I traveled there, only to find this man of God was there, and he welcomes me there. He says, welcome to Evelyn College. And I said, thanks to Almighty, we are meeting again.
Bosco developed his musical prowess at the early age of 13 when he started conducting choirs. Besides Dominic Nawa, Potifa Chinyanta, and Namasi Kusimushi, Bosco was also part of those trained by the new Apostolic Church Cape Town as a trainer of trainers to promote self-propagation of musicians in the church. After this, he and others traveled outside District Apostle Area 28 to conduct training programs. In 2005, he was appointed National Music Chairperson. Apart from seeing to it that choirs were moving in the right direction, in 2006, he and his team embarked on an ambitious project of producing musical CDs. The first was titled, We Will Keep Our Faith Alive, and then Lumela Mutoziwa and Heart of God, which too were officially unveiled during the July 2006 visit of Chief Apostle Leba to Lusaka, a project which gave him so much satisfaction. He learned the music department from 2005 to 2010 when he handed over to District Elder Namasi Kusimushi, but continued to play an active role in the choir as a deputy music chairperson till his death on 9th November 2020. His successor, District Elder Simushi, described him as a straightforward and honest person who sacrificed his own time for the work of God.
Bosco Mubita was very much friendly. He was full of jokes. He would make a lot of jokes. And also he was straightforward in whatever he wanted to do. Be at his place of work, be at church, he was always straightforward. We knew each other in 1988. So way back when we were students at Evelyn College. When we were both studying music. He was, of course, ahead of me, and I was behind him. His area of specialty, I would say, he was a composer. He was a brilliant composer. That is how I would describe him. He was specifically good composer. I remember him to be a brother, a friend. He was also my relations in terms of marriage. Yeah, so he was my family member. And I remember him also for his composition, especially a song, Swalelo ya Jesu. That piece of music, I remember when we first taught it, even people that listened to it, they thought maybe it was composed by a white man. So I always remember him for his brilliant compositions. That is Swallow Jesus, the favorite hymn. Because why? I remember when we first taught it in Kasama, way back. Yeah. First, we taught it in Livingstone, but after Livingstone, when I'd gone to Kasama, we also taught it there. So when the late Apostle Mwamba found us conducting that hymn, teaching that hymn, he came and he just disappeared. He went home and brought his recording machine to come and record that particular hymn, because for him, we didn't even believe it was a black man or it was Bosco who had composed that hymn. He thought it was some piece of music from Germany translated into Silozi. So I always remember him for that, because that hymn could exhibited who Bosco was in terms of talent in composition.
District Elder Remy Mwamba says Bosco promoted a sense of ownership and belonging among the choir leaders, aimed at fostering a culture of cross-pollination of ideas.
The late Bosco Mubita, when he was appointed around that same period, 2005, one thing that stood out was that he was all-encompassing. He brought everybody on board, and for some quarters they thought that was a weakness, because I think previously we had a system whereby only maybe the top 4 or 5 people would be ready to handle the choir or to do everybody is seated. But Bosco allowed, I think even in my write-up, what I wrote on his life, death and legacy, he brought this cross-pollination of ideas, because he had a saying which he would say, the best idea should not always come from the chairman. So, and he understood to say a music chairperson was not a chairperson in the choirs. He is chairing this committee, this interest group of music. So he didn't believe, first of all, in that monopoly of knowledge, to say, because I am chairman, therefore I'm the repository of all wisdom and knowledge, I'm the Alpha and the Omega. That to me stands out as a great legacy of how he led the music during his short tenure. And during that time, he tried to come up with what he called the music agenda. That music agenda was to streamline, to pick 1, 2, or 3 points, areas of focus, so that his tenure of office would be ascribed to those things. So for me, his performance, his short performance as a music chairperson, one of the things that really stand out even up to today was his dedication to the Zambian hymn collection. He took that project personally, and sometimes he would work in that office up to 23 hours, 0 and trying to compile, trying to bring this, trying to do that. Secondly, the other thing that he was very passionate about was also to strengthen the institutional memory of music. Because during that time, I remember he brought all the correspondence, all the write-up, as early as the time of Apostle Mikandu, Mwamba, everything that you could find, minutes were, he gave them to us, so that it was easy for us who were now coming up to have that institutional memory of looking down from where we're coming from to where we were at that point and what the vision was in terms of looking ahead.
I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Finally, there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness.
Bosco was a choir leader, music composer, music administrator, and author. Indeed, his memorial shall not depart away, and his name shall live on.
Because, for example, when we talk about Swaleloya Jesus, that's forgiveness of Jesus Christ, to which we want to emulate. It means we can also be forgiving. You can imagine how the community can be built to have unity. So it's out of this rich music that he has composed for us, that he has left for us. We looked at his great works for the music, and also we realized that his journey of music started from our Apostle area in the named congregation of Katongo. That's where I was actually ordained from deacon up to shepherd when he was in Western Province, and then from there he was transferred from his work to come to Evelyn Horn, where I was also later he was ordained district evangelist. But we are very much aware that his contribution has actually not only in the singing, but also in the management of the choirs and organizing of the choir. He also contributed. So it's a memorial for remember him on his contribution as one of us who came from our apostle area, so that we can appreciate his music, so that we can also remember him as one of us, and especially in the month of November, when we're remembering or commemorating our brothers and sisters who are in the underworld. We thought after this activity or program or church services for departed, we can also have a celebration, just remember one of them. And as we remember him, we also remember many, many other heroes in the church that have contributed to the music spheres.
The district evangelist Bosco Mubita taught us one thing: humility and humbleness. He often taught us to differentiate the difference between humility and humbleness. He taught us that humility was a virtue, while humbleness was a character. In one of his writings, a book which he started but never finished, because I interacted a lot with him in most of his write-ups, he was trying to write about a philosophical attribute of God, which he called the kairos. The kairos meaning the expanse of time in which God lives, and the chronos being the time allotted to man to live on earth. Bosco wrote a book which is entitled The Eye of Faith, which when he started it started from a discussion he had when he was traveling on a bus. And he rhymed a melody of a song, I do not ask of earthly song. And he got part of that song, which is the chorus. Then shall my heart keep singing, woe to the cross I cling. That was the basis of the book called The Eye of Faith, which he wrote. The legacy of Bosco can best be preserved by encouraging young music leaders, by encouraging composers to delve into their artistic work with keenness, to delve into God's work with passion. And most importantly, we want the scholarly works of Bosco to be bound, both in hard copy and in soft copy, and to be part of the script of the doctrinal ideology of the church. His experiences of life, his interpolation with other music leaders carry us on. We want to learn the virtue of humility and humbleness, above all, love, which is a virtue that he carried, which defines God. We've learned a lot from him. Bosco coined a word in Mongo, which he used to refer to every time when choirs relax, which he used to say, "Sintenentene sasitepo," meaning laxity in God's work. I would encourage them to carry the spirit of Bosco, to carry on their faith, to carry the banner, to remember Bosco in many artistic works, to remember Bosco, even the time he lost his child, his faith was a little bit shaken, but he still remained steadfast when he wrote Mamusindiwo wa Mioko. Bosco was a virtuous man. He was a husband. He was a father. He was a loving tool, humble and noble to his cause. The time that he took the mantle from Bishop Malumo, who was regional music leader then, he was called general choirmaster, and then they changed it to regional music leader. He faced a lot of hurdles. At some point, he also almost resigned because he was deacon. All his assistants, Shepherd Shaz Mukube, Shepherd Namaka, were shepherds and distant evangelists. But because of how he carried himself, he managed. I would encourage the choir in Mongo to remember Bosco in one prose: love, love, and love. When love exists towards our God, when love exists towards our neighbor, then the kingdom of heaven has come.
If I'm to be honest, until today, still haven't sunk in. That he's just gone. It just feels like he has gone in a trip. You know, like he would normally go for marking, he would normally go for maybe monitoring or whatever workshops within and outside the country, that is. And that's what it still feels like right now. It feels like he'll be back. But it's just a feeling anyway. We know for sure that someday we will meet. And it is that fact that encourages me to always do the right thing. That encourages me to always be kind to people. That encourages me to always live by the principles that he instilled in us. So that when that day comes, even when we'll be in glorified bodies, I think I'll be able to recognize him.
It